Giving all praises and all glory to the Most High Yah by saying hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And we back again with another Duty of Man podcast. It is a blessing to be here before y'all. We just had a beautiful Shabbat day. And today we're gonna continue our discussion on relationships. And we're gonna incorporate Proverbs 31 in that as well. And of course I got my beloved elder here, Elder Moray Yemuel, who's gonna give us the game. Good to have you back today. Thanks for being a part
Good
of
to be here. It's you.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So last week we kind of got into different discussions. We went for 3 hours, so we definitely got into some good topics. I think the highlight of last week was the situation with the phone call. That was the highlight for me. You know what I'm saying? Most of the stuff I done heard before, but that one right there, that was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So when you said, most women, and this is not
scheme on a level that most men don't know exists. And this is not for all women. So if you're listening, anything I say, if it don't relate to you, then you should not be offended. The only people, when I say anything, if it strikes a nerve with an individual, it can only be because they've dealt with situations somewhat similar to that, if not that type of situation or something. Mm-hmm. Other than that, no one should be offended if it's not pertaining to them. So it might sound like I'm talking about all women, but I assure you I am not. I'm just talking about maybe a vast majority.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's always an exception to the rule.
Oh yeah, there's always an exception.
And I advise any man when he finds that one, and most men who've dealt with women, they know exactly what I'm talking about, and because I'm coming from a man's perspective. That's just like asking a woman to rate herself. Of course, if a woman rates herself, you know, she's going to rate herself very high. But if I'm going to, for example, if I'm going to say I'm going to buy a car, mm-hmm. and the man say he wants $10,000 for this particular car, but I don't think that car is worth $10,000 to me. Maybe I see a value in that car for maybe $1,500. Then I don't want that car because it's not the right car for me. I don't see that value. And so when I talk about how sometimes we don't know how to value ourselves, men and women, sometimes we put a higher value on ourselves than we're actually worth, if I can put it that way in terms. So now everyone know how they really are. And everybody knows if they're sending a representative when they're meeting somebody, because we know how we naturally are. And my suggestion for males and females is just to be yourself. Don't introduce that representative. You know, in other words, that individual that's just really trying to impress a person right there, based on them thinking that you're this way. And then later on down the line, we find out that you're just the opposite, mm-hmm. or nowhere near the way you're perceived to be. Mm-hmm. And that's for men and for women.
Mm-hmm. How big is honesty? Were you always honest in your relationships? In your early relationships?
In my early relationships, I would actually have to say yes, because in my early relationships, I was somewhat of I don't want to put it this way, but just so people can understand, I was somewhat of a player.
Okay.
But even in my playing, I was always trying to find that perfect, what I thought would be a perfect match for me.
For you.
Now, there's no such thing as, in my belief, there's no such thing as somebody just being perfect, but we can have someone that's perfect for us.
There you go.
If people can understand what I'm saying. So there were some times, I had to grow into it, but there were some times that I wasn't the person that I am today. Even when I said I had a relationship to where I had several girlfriends, you know, at one particular time, that wasn't me being sneaky. They all knew, because I told them when I tried to have that situation, should I say, and that's nothing that I'm proud of. Please understand that. I'm just talking about experience that actually helped me grow into to the man that I am today. And I'm not trying to claim that I'm all of that, but I've been flawed and I still do have some flaws, as we all do.
Yes, sir.
But as I learn better, my goal is to do better. And I think I changed my ways because I got tired of bumping my head. In other words, going through difficult times. And I believe my actions brought those difficult times. So when I would be out and I'd have a couple of tables pulled together, and I discussed that last time, and there's women sitting at the table with me, that's what I'm referring to, my girlfriends, and again, the Almighty never condoned the boyfriend, girlfriend type of relationship. So I have been guilty. So I can talk about things that I know because I've been guilty of those things myself, and I had to grow up out of it. I had to mature. I had to learn how to be a man. Just because I'm a male and I have a male parts or whatnot, that don't make me be a good man.
There you go.
You see,
there you go.
And every male has to decide as he grows if he's going to be a good man or whatever kind of man he's going to be. Mm-hmm. So my goal is to, at this point in my life, and even before now, is to try and erase some of even though I can't erase it, only the Almighty can, but to try to clean up my act and keep hoping in the Almighty's mercy. So, I know some people like to use the word game, and men, we shouldn't even have no game, but if we're going to use that word, I'm just trying to give y'all the game.
There it is. Yes,
sir. I'm trying to, I didn't bought it, but I ain't trying to sell it to you. I'm trying to give it to you.
That's right. That's right.
You see, so, I admit I had, and it ain't no pimp thing or nothing like that. It might sound like it. I had, I don't know what they call it today. I had a woman that I dealt with that, was responsible for the other woman that I dealt with. And, so it is what it is. If they had a problem with me, I'd say, see her. I don't want to mention no names or anything, because that's some decades ago.
I got you.
You see what I'm saying? That's literally some decades ago.
Absolutely. What age do you think is an appropriate age for a man to start seeking a wife? Because we know we're not supposed to really seek girlfriends and stuff like
that. Right.
You think it's appropriate age, generally, for most men to seek a wife?
Well, I'm going to answer this in a different way. I'm not even going to give it an age. What I am going to give it is a,
criteria.
Where you at? Yeah, a criteria. Mm-hmm. Where are you at a particular point in your life? If you're at a particular point in your life when you're still trying to get yourself together and you're trying to get established, I would not recommend trying to find a wife at that particular time. Now, you might have someone in your life that you really appreciate and one day hope to maybe be with, and you might even have that conversation with her or whatnot, but I wouldn't advise trying to be involved in any kind of way at that particular time because you're not ready. As a man, and let me speak on this, being a traditional man. A traditional man, I believe in most cases would want to have a traditional wife. Okay. And one who follows the Almighty most of all. Okay, because tradition was actually passed down by way of the law. But it appears that in these times, modern women, and again, I'm not talking about all, so anytime I refer to something, you're probably going to hear me say often, I'm not talking about all because there's always an exception to the rule. But modern women tend to want a traditional man. A modern woman don't want to be in a relationship where they're splitting things 50-50. A modern woman wants a man to take care of just about everything. Like your money is your money and his money is y'all's money. That's what modern women want. But modern women don't understand that to have a traditional man, that traditional man is to provide those things for his wife, not his girlfriend. Not his girlfriend. And if you want to put yourself in a position to be a wife, then I have to share some things with you that might be offensive. Again, if you're offended, it's only because you're guilty of it. If you're not guilty of it, it shouldn't affect you in one way or the other.
Period.
Originally, a woman should have been a virgin when she was married. Mm-hmm. And now we have a lot of women who have children, even some, and have never been married. And then we have women who've been with a lot of guys and have never been married. But the bottom line is, a man really don't want to marry a woman that he's known that been with a lot of guys. Even in these days, a man will marry a woman who even has children already. A man will marry a woman who's been with maybe a few men. But imagine this, if a man find out, and I know some of you women, I don't know if there's any listening right now, but some women have extremely high body counts. If it's not you, what I'm saying shouldn't affect you. And some women know that other women, you may even know somebody that has a very high body count. Imagine if a guy thought that you had only been with maybe a few people because maybe the woman says she's been with maybe 3 or 4 guys in her life. And maybe she's, I don't know, 35 years old, which me personally, I call that. And again, I am not saying this to offend anybody, but I've used the term a leftover. Now, please don't hate on me. Understand what I'm saying. I'm saying if a woman has put herself out there and say she's even been intimate with guys and nobody has asked her to be their wife, his wife, or maybe he's even suggested that he wanted to be your husband and you be his wife, but it never came to fruition. Ladies, you have to ask yourself, why did it not happen? There's a reason. You have to examine yourself. You have to examine your ways. Are you a woman that argues a lot? Are you toxic? Maybe you didn't want to marry him because maybe he's toxic. Maybe he loves to argue. Maybe he does a lot of things that you don't agree with. If that's the case, understand this. We cannot change one another. An individual is going to be who they are, whether it be the man or whether it be the woman. That's why it's not good to be intimate in your relationships. And like I say, I've been guilty of it myself. So please understand that. I'll keep saying I've been very guilty of that myself. But if we want to have successful relationships, we got to take our time and we have to learn who we're dealing with and hope that we're getting honesty. We need to have those conversations about what my expectation of a marriage is and what your expectation of a marriage is. We have to talk about things that people may not want to talk about, like making sure that wife to be, if you're discussing that, knows that this is not a partnership. Now, if that sounds crazy to some people, type in, and so I can explain it to you. But marriage has never been a part, maybe to some modern time people. But marriage was ordained by the Most High Yah. And he didn't make it a partnership. And we talked about that on, I believe, 2 other occasions. And he made one person the head of the other. Now, we know who that was. So if I need to repeat myself, I'll repeat myself. That husband is the head of that household under the Most High Yah, period. That husband shouldn't try to dictate that marriage however he wants to be. He's not to be a tyrant with it. You know, the foundation of him doing what he does should be the Most High. That should be the foundation. And I know some women, you know, they feel like they want to call the shots in the house.
Say that again.
Some people feel like they do. They want to call the shots in the house. Yeah. And that's the reason there be turmoil inside that daggone house. Yeah. And that may be the reason some people are divorced already or maybe won't get married. Because ladies, if you don't put yourself in a position to where you get a good man, man, that's on you. Don't be bamboozled, because some guys, they'll be slick too. So I don't want y'all to think that I just talk about the women. I talk about the women and the men. So if you have any questions, you can give me a variety of different questions.
Yeah, and you can get on the men too,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, y'all can check. Yeah. But my thing is, I just want to see successful relationships. And the data people are so watered down. It's very rare that you're going to meet somebody in a day's time, you know, that's going to be accountable and want to be held accountable, whether it be the male or the female. And accountability plays a big role in a relationship, especially if that relationship is leading to marriage. Mm-hmm. If you want to have a successful relationship, there's some things that the woman must agree that she don't have a problem doing, and the man as well. And that way it's a benefit. Marriage should be a benefit to both parties. One person should not have to feel like they had to compromise their integrity or whatever in order to make someone happy.
That's very interesting that you say that, because most women feel that marriage in our Hebrew way of life would only benefit the men. And
So
even modern women feel like that. It's they have more freedom, or they have more benefits when they're not married, rather than them just sleeping around, having friends, quote unquote friends, and things of that nature. A lot of our women that are in this way of life, like especially when we start introducing polygamy and things of that nature, a lot of women have an issue with the responsibility that the Almighty have laid upon mankind, especially when we start introducing polygamy and things of that nature, or polygyny rather, and even just being in terms of him being the head of his household. Most women want to be independent of the power of their man, should I say, so they can have their own personal glory. Like one of the things that I noticed with our women, they also have an ego too. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I think that's one of the things that we need to get away from, especially if we're trying to pursue marriage, should I say, a righteous marriage. But what's your thoughts on that?
Well, give me the first part, because you said a lot, and I want to answer everything. I want to answer and I will answer everything. So give me the part, and then just give me different parts, and I'll go ahead and answer. That way I can make sure I cover everything.
Yes, sir. So the first part was that how does the Almighty's institution of marriage benefit both the man and the woman, and a righteous marriage?
And you were saying that
some women may feel that they don't want to get married because they feel like marriage only benefits the man.
I want to answer that.
Yes, sir.
Because that's the order that you brought it in. Let's see. Now, are we talking about a modern woman and a traditional man? Or are we talking about a traditional woman with a traditional man?
I would say a modern woman with a traditional man.
And here's the reason that a modern woman with a traditional man may not work. Because first of all, if a woman thinks it's only going to benefit the man, then if the man is covering this woman with his resources, because a traditional man, he's going to foot just about all the bills. It may not be all. He might have her pay the cable bill or this bill or that bill. But a traditional man, for the most part, should be taking care of the mortgage. He should be taking care of this bill, that bill, buying the food. Now, today, I know women like to dress certain ways. It's a man's responsibility to take care of the woman's clothing as well. But a lot of modern women, they ain't going to like the clothes that a traditional man may want to buy for her. So she want to buy her own clothes. So she might think that it's a benefit for the man. But say if the man is doing even extra things, like he's taking care of this for you, that's not his responsibility. He's taking care of that for you. It's not up to a man to want to take care of every little thing that you need. But then you have to ask yourself, if it's such a benefit for the man and he's your provider and your protection. Now understand this. You expect security from this guy. That means you're going to be comfortable. It don't just mean he's going to protect you. You're going to feel secure with him. A lot of women may marry a man that she don't even love, but she feels safe with him, and she feels safe because of the security. In other words, she's secure that she don't have to pay a mortgage. She don't have to do this. She don't have to do that. There's a lot of things that a traditional man is going to do because he wants to to do it. That traditional man, if you're not working, he's going to provide that gas for your vehicle. If you're not working, he's going to make sure all you have those amenities, those things that you need to function. It might not be when you want it. It might be because he may not have the most money, but it'll be as he can do those things. And I guarantee if you got the right guy, those things are going to be done. So if the only thing that a woman is bringing is herself, and a lot of women, ladies, check the internet, will say when they ask you, what are you bringing to the table? A lot of women are going to say, I am the table, which is the wrong answer. Who says, I'm bringing peace? Who's going to say that? I'm bringing peace. I'm bringing a lot of these other things you need. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to bring comfort to you. I'm going to make sure that I turn your house into a home. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to cook now. You got women who listen to some of these Mega Stallion and all these other people talking about they don't cook and they don't clean. Well, if you ain't doing nothing but being on the receiving end, then something's wrong. Because when one pours into the relationship, the other should pour into the relationship equally. Granted, that man may have the bigger portion, but you're both pouring. You see what I'm saying? When he's going out and he's dealing with whatever he has to deal with to make the situation happen so that you're comfortable. So you don't have to worry about a lot of different things. You don't have to worry about splitting the bills 50-50 and all these different things. You see what I'm saying? So how is it a benefit to the man if the one thing men love to be intimate. They love sexual intimacy. I love. But if a woman holds out even on that sexual intimacy, how is that man benefiting? I mean, you're not bringing a lot to the table, because I want to hear women telling other men what they're going to do and stick to what they say they're going to do. I speak to a lot of guys, and I even wrote that down. All of the guys are saying the same thing. All of them are having the same issues. A woman will say something and she won't follow through with it. The women don't want to be held accountable, and it's always the man's fault. A lot of guys are telling me, all the guys are telling me that they're dealing with women who are just masculine. Masculine. Now let me explain what that means.
Yeah,
because a lot of times,
how can a woman know if they masculine or not?
Let me put it this way.
I think a lot of them don't even
Let me
realize.
put it, and I've said that often. A lot of times the woman will go into her masculinity and not even recognize it. So a lot of times the woman will be offended. But you have to make sure that you understand men and women are completely different. 100% completely different. We don't think the same. We don't talk the same way or anything. So when I talk about a woman that's into her masculinity, I'm going to give a couple of examples. Example one here. Say a woman has no longer in a previous relationship, and that relationship was like, for her, what she might call a horrible relationship. She had to do a lot of arguing, a lot of bitter, this, that, and the other. So the very next man who comes along, she might not trust him for a very long time. So with her guard up, she's not going to be like she generally would be when she's in her femininity. So she might be, like I said in the beginning, she might send that representative. But after so long, that woman, like most women, if this don't apply to you, don't worry about it. Most women, and women know this, will test a man just to see how far she can go, what she can do, see if he's stern, if he knows his value. A woman is going to deal with a man any kind of way. You can't put a woman in a box. She's sort of like an ocean more so than a swimming pool. You see what I'm saying? In other words, those emotions are everywhere.
Yes.
They ain't just contained. Those emotions are everywhere. So a woman may, if a man says something to her, and he could be being honest, but she don't want to hear the truth. And so she gets offensive to what he says. If he's receiving something from her in a way of attitude or disrespect or whatever it is. See, when you when you know people, and everybody know when somebody's disrespecting them or when they're slighting them. Everybody knows that. But a lot of women, if you say something to them, then it's going to provoke an argument because that's what they've been accustomed to. And let me tell you how this gets started. A lot of people end up in a toxic relationship because they think arguing and all this type of stuff is normal behavior.
That's right.
Most likely because they grew up with that.
They enjoy it. Some women enjoy arguing.
Well, see here,
Yeah.
let me explain that too. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let me explain that. I made a statement to you not too long ago about women loving emotional variety. And then I had to break that down. So let me break that down again. If a woman grows up and they become sometimes a product, men and women become a product of their environment if they allow that to happen. So if a person grows up in what would be considered to be a toxic type environment, but then they consider that to be normal because that's what they're used to. That's all they see. And that's what they've participated in. The back and forth, the arguing and everything. But then they get with somebody, say like
That's
a woman.
not like that.
That's not like that at all. Right? Then, it's going to be easier for them to provoke an argument because something's missing. They're used to having all these little difficult times. That's why a lot of females, when they're younger, you'd have heard the term the Pookies and the Ray Rays and things like that. That's why a lot of these younger females prefer the Pookies and the Ray Rays because they're going to provide that emotional variety for them. In other words, it's always going to be something. They're always going to be arguing. He's always going to be doing this. She's going to catch him with this woman, this, that, and the other. It's going to be a lot of different things. And even though she love him, as they say, she love him, she going to keep putting up with him because she knows it's always going to be something different, which is what they're used to. Some women, not all women.
We say that woman is kind of emotionally damaged. That's what she.
There you go. And a lot of them, let's say most of them, and this is not to be offensive, ladies, if you do the work, you'll find out this is true. A lot of them have what you call daddy issues or father issues. And so we get involved, and a lot of us are damaged. A lot of us are damaged. Yeah. There's a lot of guys who act the way they do because they didn't have a father in their life to guide them and to teach them how to do certain things. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So a lot of times a woman, she's going to go into that and being masculine is like when you got if he says something and then you start to escalate things and then it starts to escalate and it keeps on going up and then you're arguing. Every now and again, you'll see a guy out there acting a fool, arguing with his woman, but you'll see more women doing that, just making a scene.
Yeah.
Making a scene. You see what I'm saying? And when you got to get loud and you're out of your femininity, then you've entered into your masculinity. And I've explained this before, that men, we should have testosterone up to here. But we also have estrogen, but that should be way down here.
That's right.
Women run off of estrogen, which should be up here, but they have testosterone that should be down here. Give you another example. If there's a woman and she runs a business.
You just said something that gave me a thought.
Hold that thought for a second. Hold that thought. I'm going to make this real quick here. If there's a woman and she runs a business, and I said this before, say she runs a business, say she got 100 plus employees working up under her. And this is a demanding business. In order to make things work, and she's responsible for a lot of output or whatnot, right? She's not going to necessarily be in her femininity. She's going to have to act like one of these guys for the most part. So she's going to be a lot more high strung to make sure things get done because everything it's going to fall back on her.
That's right.
So she put herself in a position to where she's going to most likely end up being that way in most cases. There's always an exception to the rule. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because if there's a woman doing what a man generally would have been doing, now you put yourself in that same arena as those men. Whereas a traditional woman back in time, they used to be at home taking care of the women and children. But ever since they were introduced to the workforce, things have changed.
Has that given women an ego?
Absolutely. And men and women both have egos.
Yeah.
Other words, you can tell women have egos when they call themselves the boss bee.
Yeah.
And I'm that bee and all of this type of stuff. You see what I'm saying? That's not natural for our women to be that way. And I said this before, we're the only people on the planet, our black women here in the West, that would declare and be proud of and say, I'm a strong, black, independent woman. Wait a minute. That says something. Do you want a strong woman or you want your woman to be soft and you just be strong for her?
I'd rather my woman be soft.
Now, if your woman is independent, that means she don't need you.
She hard without me.
Men need to be needed, not just wanted or tolerated. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Men need to be needed, not just tolerated. You see? Yeah. Or dealt with. They just dealing with. No, because in a situation like that, who's going to be happy? If a man is in a relationship and he find out because this woman said out his mouth, I got to keep dealing with you, or however she put it. Most women gonna say what they mean when they're in their emotions. But they might mean it now, but then later on, then they don't mean it. Then they mean it again the next time there's an argument, but then they don't mean it. But then, no. You're sending mixed signals.
That's right.
That's just like if a woman has something on her mind, man, we're not mind readers. Even though we might know our woman, we're not mind readers. Say what's on your mind. And like I tell males and females, it's okay to say what's on your mind is how you say it. You can say anything that needs to be said, but you can say it in a respectful way to where you can have a communication and not lead to an altercation.
Yeah. You know what, man, you saying so much right now. You hitting on certain points. They got my mind kind of going in different places, but one of the things, I'm gonna just make a statement. I think one of the things that we need to work on as a people is the way that we communicate to each other.
You just made me remember something. Check this out.
Yeah.
Beauty will attract a man, but her traits, if she got the right traits, will keep him.
That's what I wanted to. Yeah.
Your beauty, the beauty, because we're visual. So your beauty will attract a man. But your traits, if your traits are bad, you ain't gonna keep that man. But if your traits are right, now you got something.
Yeah.
But see, women have to learn how to, well, let me put it this way. We're damaged people. And again, we come from a bunch of single parent households, and sometimes people are blessed to have both their parents their entire life. And that's a beautiful thing. I commend that. But when we don't have those things growing up, then we're off kilter. We don't have our balance. So when we enter in relationships, whether it's a male or female, we're entering not with a good balance.
That's right.
And we have to recognize what our deficiencies are. And then we fix those deficiencies the best way we can. We can even talk about them to one another. You see what I'm saying? And that means I'm going to love you and I understand what your deficiencies are and you know what your deficiencies are, but I want you to love me as I work on my deficiencies as well. But in order for that to work, we both have to work on our deficiencies. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes,
we both have to do that because you can get a beautiful woman. You can get a beautiful woman, but she's only beautiful on the outside.
That's right.
And a man wants I have to say this. I'd rather have an average woman as far as looks, but that inside is right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Because all of this is going to fade over time anyway. And the purpose of marriage is to have that lifelong partner.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying? So we know if you're going to have that lifelong partner, those looks are going to change over the years. But if you've always been a sweetheart, you're still going to be a sweetheart. If you've always been a kind person, then that kindness is still going to be there. So let me ask you a question. Is it possible to have a very good looking woman, but she's just not a kind person?
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times we find that out in the middle of a relationship, don't we? She looks nice, but she's not very kind. And a lot of women, and if this don't pertain to you, don't get upset. A lot of women are just mean.
Yeah, they are.
Mean. When I meet some of the mothers who come to the school because their daughter is in trouble or something like that, or maybe it's even a son. When that parent, that mother, because a lot of times the father's not there, a mother will come, or a grandmother, usually like a mother. But when she don't know the whole story and she go by what her child told her, keeping in mind that a child, when he know he's in trouble, he gonna text home real quick or she gonna text home, they gonna alter the story, I guarantee you.
Every
you
time.
know, I've seen it for decades. I literally have, working
sir.
in the school system. So instead of mom coming in inquiring as to what's going on and being pleasant, mom comes in with an attitude. I'll tell you, at least 90% of the time. I've seen that, and I've been in the school system for over a couple of decades, and about 90% of the time, mom comes in with an attitude. But when we had this security meeting today, I told y'all about the book. Here's what I do. Every parent who pays any attention to their child at all know the way their child talks, right? Mm-hmm. So generally what I would do is I'd keep a notebook with me. And when a child is being disrespectful and out of order to me, I'll write it, not right then, but I'll write it down just the way that child said it. I won't dress it up to make it sound more adultish. I'll write it down just the same way.
That's
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if a parent knows their child, once I pull out that book and start explaining to the parent what's really been going on, now she's looking at that child.
Yeah.
Now she looking at it because now she's being wise when they will do that. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of times the parents still try to take it off the child and flip it on the adult. You see what I'm saying? But those that do pay attention to their child, when I start telling, in my case, when I start telling them what's going on,
yeah, they should know.
What time get you home? You know? Yeah.
Right.
So it's documentation always beat conversation.
Yeah.
But sometimes we try to have conversations with people who are just not willing to listen. They just waiting for you to finish so they can respond. Just like in an argument, if you and your girl,
what do we call that though? Somebody that get in the conversation just so they can get their input, but they don't want to listen. Is there a certain trait we call that people?
Yeah, that's
pride, or what
well, that's not only pride. Yeah. That's a toxic individual. They're not willing to listen, and so I oftentimes ask them, "Why do you think the Almighty gave you 2 ears and only one mouth?" Just like the scriptures say, we should be more ready to hear than to get a sacrifice as a fool. So a fool is a very silly or very unwise individual. And sometimes we marry fools or we date fools. We might even be the fool.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? That can be on either side. So when a person recognizes that if they want to have a successful relationship, we have to work on ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we're damaged people. Mm-hmm. You know, that trauma that our forefathers had, it's been passed down to us.
Generation after generation.
We've been systemically damaged. Period.
Yeah.
We've received a lot of carryover. See, nowadays, some of these women, they want what they call a bad boy. You can get on the internet, you hear them talking and all this old garbage. They want a man who carries a gun and who do this, who will risk his life for them, this, that, and the other. But as soon as he go to jail, they done moved on to his friend. So if this don't apply to you, it don't apply to you. But see, I've been in this world a long time. And I've dealt with women a long time. So I can only tell you what I know. And most women, check this out. I wish we had a lot of women listening now because most women know this to be a true statement. Most women get along with more men than they do women.
What's your thoughts on that? What's your honest?
Well, as a man, check this out. As a man, knowing that females have more male friends than female friends, and a lot of times they might keep that from their significant other or whatnot. But with these younger people, I have to tell you this right here. It's not a good, matter of fact, that's one of the things that I think I wrote down here that I want to discuss. Men don't like, let me see where I got it here. Okay. Women with a lot of male friends. Yeah. Women who have a lot of male friends is a turnoff to a man that's interested in you because we know male nature. We know male nature. I wrote that down as one of the things I wanted to talk about.
Hey, you speaking facts though. I ain't gonna lie.
Women who have a lot of
that'd be a red flag. That'd be a red flag.
Ladies, you hear what he said? It is a red flag because see, we know a man's nature. And see, that's just like you got a male friend, right? Check this out. And some of y'all call it friends with benefits. Right? And he calling you up, but when he call you, he ain't never taking no place. He calling you late at night You probably sleeping and farting. You know, it's probably what they call 2 a.m. or something. And he done been out doing everything. Then he call you. You answer the phone, sleepy as all get out. He say, what you doing? It's 2 a.m. You sleeping.
Word.
You sleeping. But he thought, I thought I'd just pull up. Ladies, quit making yourself available to these guys like that. Especially if you plan on one day maybe having a husband. Quit racking them body counts up. Now, I can't tell you what to do, but I'm going to tell you, that's, in all honesty, like I was saying, you can ask a 12-year-old, and I say this oftentimes too, y'all check it out. You got a 12-year-old, a 20, a 25, a 35, a 60, a 70, a 98-year-old woman. This question right here, and the truth gonna be consistent. They know that females, now I'm just talking about females right now on this. They know that females keep, as they say, S-H-I-T, keep it going. Keep it going. They know that. I ask girls when they get to fighting, and like I say, at school where I work at, the vast majority of our fights, if there's 10 fights, at least 8, if not 9 or all 10 of them gonna be females.
Every time.
Or either the fruity guys. You see what I'm saying? No, for real. And I'll ask the girl, like she 12 years old. I say, baby, how old are you? She might say 13 or so. I say, you knew at least by the time you were 11. I use 11 as a number, even though they might have knew when they was 8 or 9 or whatever. I say, you knew by the time you was 11, the girls keep stuff going, didn't you? And I swear to y'all, 100% of the time, the answer is yes, regardless of whatever age they are. If they 16, 17 years old, the answer is yes. Women, again, love emotional variety because they live in their emotions. So if you give them the same thing all the time, they gonna get bored. That's when I say they like the bad boy, the so-called bad boy, because there's always something different. If you're a more mature guy and you go to work and you come home and you don't necessarily really do, because ain't nothing really out there anyway, boring, and you just live in a regular life, you are considered to be boring. And they cannot stand a man like that until they done got all wore out and they older now and they want to be settled down. They want somebody to take care of them. Then the guy that they consider to be boring, now he's ideal because they know he's the responsible one.
They got that stability.
But see, they don't want that. They don't want that guidance when they're younger. They don't want it. They want to be out there and do whatever it is they think they want to do. As they say, they out there living their life. But when you're out there racking up them bodies, you're not going to get a quality man because a quality man ain't going to want you.
The quality man ain't going to want you.
He ain't going to want you.
Let them get to asking them questions. You asking them questions wrong.
Ladies, let me say this to you. And I know y'all always have a double standard, but let me put it to you this way. I'm not justifying what a man does when he gets out there. I'm not justifying it at all. And women say if a man can do it, she can do it too. Let me say the man shouldn't be doing that at all.
They love that one.
A man shouldn't be doing it at all. But see, here's the thing. Keep in mind, a woman is interested in what a man can do for them. That's why they want their nails done, their hair done, this, that, and the other. They want a man to take care of everything, right? Women are hypergamous. So a woman, and again, if this don't apply to you, it don't apply to you. Women are more interested in a man's bank account, in other words, his money, what he can do for them. But a man wants to know your body count, you see. And a lot of women try to hide that. You see, some don't. Some women might have been with, say, that many guys, but they say they've been with this many. Because they know that's going to be a turnoff to certain guys. Because if a guy asks you that, you automatically don't. Now, you might end up letting the cat out the bag later on or something if he don't ask. You know, maybe even in the argument, I done been with 200 guys and ain't none of them acting like you. However, I'm just telling y'all the truth. Now, a lot of people ain't going to like it, and I'm not going to too much concern myself about it because my thing is to try to help educate people. Now, older men, they know, if they're listening, they know I'm telling the truth. They know I'm telling the truth. You see, when you get older, ladies, You want a man that's going to be not really out there like that. You want a man to where you pretty much gonna know where he at and he handling his business that now. But that's what a man want when he gets a woman off the rip. He don't want her all up out there when she young. Because let me tell you something. A man, and y'all gonna think this is double standard. A man still can have a lot of options as he gets older, especially if if he's got his funds and things like that in order. He's got his residence and things in order. A man can have he can still have a lot of options. And this is no insult, but ladies, when you get older like that, you don't have those same options. When a woman is older and set in her ways and whatnot, and say she's 40 years old, 45, and she ain't never been married, there's always hope, ladies. But I'm going to tell you, the chances of you getting married are slim. I won't say none, are slim. You have to ask yourself, we got to be honest with ourselves. This is not a put down. This is me wanting women to have a reality check. If you're not married and your hope has to have been married, but nobody have ever asked you to be married, but a lot didn't ask to lie with you, and you done lied with some guys and say enough of them that maybe somebody would ask you to marry, then you have to consider, were you what a man actually likes? Are you what a man actually wanted to be with? Or did he just want to be with you for that time, just to have some fun at that particular time? Ladies, please understand, I am not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but a lot of women put themselves in a position where they just miss right now, not just miss right. Girls or women or ladies, you cannot do what the guys do and still be considered a lady. I'm not justifying anything for the men. Don't get me wrong. Wrong is wrong. But ladies, you can't do what the guys do and say, if they can do it, I can do it too. It don't work that way, ladies.
The Almighty ain't make y'all like that.
It's a man's nature to be sexual. Did y'all know it's never been a law, but even in our land back in the day, a man could have more than one wife if he could afford it. But you've never heard where a woman have more than one husband. That's never been part of a tradition. Now, again, that was a tradition that wasn't a law. So I'm not justifying anything. A lot of men in our time had more than one wife. And I'm not suggesting now that a man try and go get more than one wife, because it'd be a headache in this land. It wouldn't necessarily be beneficial. But what I am saying, ladies, is you cannot do the same thing that men will do and think that it's going to be acceptable by men. They're going to look at you. That's like I say, if somebody pulling up late at night, they're pulling up for a reason. And you are in agreement with that reason when you let him in. So even though he's getting a notch on his belt, you're getting a notch taken away from you.
That's right.
You moving another step away from being married.
Damn.
See, so I'm trying to show you how to protect yourself. And for some of you, it's already too late. It's already too late. But see, here's the thing. Wisdom will carry you a lot farther. Wisdom will carry you a lot farther. You are not doing yourself matter of fact, you're doing yourself a disservice every time you lie with somebody and you know they have no intentions of marrying you. So when you're taking, every time you lay with another man, you're devaluing yourself. Now somebody gonna hear that and they gonna get upset with me, because obviously you don't know your value. And I want you ladies to know your value. So even if you've been doing something, if your number is very low, right? If your number is very low, it's up to you to say, you know what? I know I've already messed up, as we all have, but don't mess up to the point to where no man is going to want you. So I'm not saying that there's no hope for anybody. I'm saying the older you get, and you haven't been married, and you've been laying with men, you have to ask yourself, ladies, if you've been with, I don't want to put a number on it, say you've been with guys, and nobody has even thought about asking you to marry them. There's a reason. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah.
There's a reason.
Whether that's your fault or his fault.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's definitely a reason there. For sure. But now you hit so many, like I wrote down some of the points, you made a lot of you made a lot of good points.
And check this out. This is so daggone crucial right here. Check this out. Something as simple as this. Ladies, men absolutely love it when they get a woman who knows or recognizes that she was wrong in what she did or what she said or something like that, and will apologize and be sincere about it. A man loves it. You score points that way when you're sincere.
Yeah.
And he don't have to come to you and say some things and then y'all get into an argument because you were disrespectful or something. Men will love it when you approach them and humble yourself. Hear what I'm saying? Humble yourself and give a sincere apology and mean it. Meaning you're not going to do that again. Not like that. You see what I'm saying? In other words, you could, even if you make that mistake again, you ain't going to do it that same way. And even if you do, if you're sincere and you apologize, now he know he got something he can work with.
There you go.
Because he's going to see that sincerity. And all of us, we're a work in progress. Men and women. We are a work in progress. Mm-hmm. So, but men we got to do the same thing. If you out of order, if I'm out of order, I got to go apologize. I mean, that's something I would want to do. That's in me. If I know that, like, man, let me go fix this because she didn't deserve that or whatever. Or basically, I didn't control my spirit. When a person allows their spirit to be activated by someone else, then that means they gave control of their spirit over to somebody else. Mm. I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. And check this out. Say if I knew this brother right here go from 0 to 100 really fast. Say we younger, but we're old and mature right now. But say we're younger, I know he go from 0 to 110 real quick. So I tell somebody, watch, I'm getting ready to make King mad. I'm getting ready to get him in trouble. I'm getting ready to get him kicked out of this place. So I be saying things to King that can't nobody else hear, but he hears. And so instead of ignoring me, knowing that if he ignored me, that means he ain't concerned about me. I ain't that important. But I'm just annoying to him. And I keep saying certain things. Eventually he explodes. He flip over the desk. He gets up. He start going off and we're in a different environment, say in school or something. Now the teacher didn't hear me or see me. She might even believe him that I'm bothering him, right? But now all the attention's on him because he's acting a fool. He done lost his temper because I already told somebody, watch me get him kicked out of class.
He looked like the aggressor.
Because I know he don't know how to control his spirit. See, a lot of times when we're in situations with our significant other, whether it be a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, or whatever, somebody's going to lose it because somebody said something instead of not even responding at that point. A person can't argue with themselves.
That's a fact.
But when you know you're the type of person that goes from 0 to 100, fix that. That's a flaw. And I could have that flaw. You can have that. Anybody can have that flaw. Mm-hmm. There's a proverb, I believe, that a man who don't control his spirit is like a city with no walls that's broken down. That means anybody can enter. Anybody can disrupt your spirit if we don't have control over it. And if it's my spirit, that means I'm supposed to control my own spirit. So if I have if I just explode, I can't say somebody provoked me. Mm-hmm. That's what we say all the time. But that's just like giving your power to that individual. You know what I mean? That's something that we have to really learn and really understand. I don't give that power away. I mean, I've been guilty of it. Don't get me wrong. Because every now and then, somebody will take us there, but I'm responsible for my own actions. As if the next person, they're responsible for their own actions and their reactions.
Beautiful.
And we know that for every action, there's a opposite and equal reaction to that.
Every time.
She start raising her voice, you start raising your voice. Or you start raising your voice, next thing you know, she start raising her voice. Then back and forth. Or if it's two guys, Two guys, it's probably getting ready to be some fisticuffs. Two women, it's probably getting ready to be some fisticuffs. You see? So we just have to learn to control certain things. Be accountable. Man, I'm going to tell all guys, if you can find a woman that's accountable, that will accept accountability and really sincere about that because she wants to be better, she's a keeper. But, man, you be accountable yourself.
That's right.
Don't want something that you're not willing to give or be.
Yeah.
That needs to be on both sides. And I know it sounds like I talk about women a lot, but I assure you guys, I talk about men too, because I want everybody to be aware. I ain't worried about no haters. You know, I want y'all to love me even more for exposing a lot of things, because y'all knows I'm only trying to help. I ain't trying to just dog out any particular gender, but let's keep in mind, there's only two, y'all. There's only two genders, male and female. All right. Now, if there's somebody who's a different gender, hey, I ain't trying to disrespect you, but I'm trying to honor the Most High Yah, my Father. And he said he only made two.
Beautiful.
And let me say this right here. A man is not responsible for a woman's happiness, nor is a woman responsible for a man's happiness. Now, I can add to your happiness, or you can add to my happiness. But if I'm saying I can't be happy without you, or you can't be happy without me, something's wrong with that statement. That means if I'm no longer in the picture, you ain't gonna never be happy, or vice versa. That don't make any sense at all.
Well, let me go ahead and ask you a question real quick.
Mm-hmm.
If a relationship or a marriage is facing issues where they are not attracted to one another anymore, what could be the cause of that without breaking up the relationship?
There's been a lot of
because we know attraction plays a big part in romantic relationships.
Mm-hmm. Repeat that question for me again.
When a relationship or a marriage is facing issues in terms of attraction, what could be some of the reasons behind that? And what are some of the things that this relationship or these individuals can do to help that?
It sounds like there's been a lot of resentment over a period of time that's been built up. There's been a lot of controversy, maybe even a lot of arguments, a lot of not seeing eye to eye. It's like somebody is, here's the thing. A lot of times it can be a man at fault, and sometimes it can be a woman at fault. And sometimes it can just be both of them because they don't know how to communicate. And when a lot of times when communication is stifled, then resentment is built up. And once you have resentment, then your walls go up. And when those walls go up, the communication is even worse. It's like then you have somebody that's just roommates or housemates if they live together. Or if they don't live together, then it's somebody that communication is shortened. But then there's still going to be a jealousy, even if you act like you don't really want to be together, because when a relationship generally ends, both parties want it to be on their terms. Mm-hmm. You see, the man, he wanted that relationship to end on his terms. She wanted to end on their terms. But the thing is, I believe that at a point like that, it has to be, there's been so much animosity, so much tension. Mm-hmm. It's been a build-up. Mm-hmm. And it's only been a build-up because that communication is stifled. Believe it or not, Keem, a lot of folk these days don't know how to communicate. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to communicate. And I'll tell you why, because a lot of times they didn't come up in the environment to where they saw a lot of communication with their mother and father or the people that raised them. And then if the mother and father was together, if there wasn't a lot of arguing, if they saw people making up and whatnot, then that's like a guideline to teach you how. But in most of our cases, King, that's not like that. Like I say, man, you have been truly blessed because you've had your father and your mother in your life, your whole life. But a lot of people, they might see their father like they see somebody else out on the streets. And in some cases, not as often, they might see their mother out there like that, like they would just see somebody else out on the streets. So when you have not had that role model, when you have not had that example, because again, the best teacher has always been example. We get examples of the grimy stuff. We don't get so many examples of the good stuff.
I need to get me one of them sound machines to get a hand claps when you say something.
Yeah,
real.
we do. We get examples of all the grimy stuff because that's what's accepted in the world today more so, that you have to be a tough guy.
Is that low self-esteem?
That's very low self-esteem. And you have to project onto someone else to make yourself feel better.
Damn.
See, people don't consider this right here to say, I'm going to be a better person in light in spite of what I did or didn't have. That's my mentality.
Mine too.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got to be a better person for me. I believe in those like audio tapes and things that, you know, I like to listen to them a few times at least. I got a bunch on my phone right now. I like to deal with people who are more minded like myself, and we'll send one another things. You see what I'm saying? Just motivation. Because when you've been lacking something in your life and you recognize what it is that you've been lacking and you don't want to be deficient in that area, you do some research to try to make you better in that area that you're deficient in. Because if you know that deficiency is going to be a detriment to you, why would you want to carry that detriment? I want to be an asset. I don't want to be a liability. But a lot of times, some people get into relationships like you're talking about to where one of those individuals, if not both of them, but at least one of them may be a liability. But you get some people who are afraid to be alone. And so they try to gravitate to what they're familiar with, even though the relationship is toxic. I used to couldn't understand years ago why you would have a guy who would treat a woman like really, really, really bad. But it seemed like she would always come back. He couldn't get rid of her. He beat her, do this, that, and the other, all those things that we wouldn't want done to our loved one, and she wouldn't go nowhere because he was all she knew.
Now, is that a good thing or?
That's a horrible thing.
Okay.
A person have to have a very low self-esteem in order to deal with a situation like that, especially when that situation becomes physical.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then if you don't really have your own and you're dependent on someone else, that makes it even worse.
Because now you're stuck.
You're stuck with that bull. And see, it don't really make any sense. Don't make any sense. Do what, this is for men and women. Do what you say, do what you say you're going to do. That helps make for a good relationship. If you come into a relationship and you say, well, this is what I'm going to do. Y'all have those conversations. You map out some things you say you're going to do. Do those things. If she maps out some things that she says she's going to do, she don't have no problem with it. Because certain things are getting established. That way you know you have boundaries. You don't want to deal with somebody who's going to be a liar. You know, who say they're going to do this, but they don't do that. You know?
I think there's, and maybe I may be going a little deep, but maybe there are certain exercises or practices that couples can do together when they face communication issues, which leads to that, like you said, that communication issue, resentment, arguments, not seeing eye to eye. Those things lead to you repelling one another or you not wanting to be around each other, although y'all may still be together. Perhaps there are certain exercises or things that couples can do to help ease that tension. Because when you're with somebody for a long time, inevitably you're going to have arguments.
Right.
You're going to have issues where this person really pissed you off or may have done something that's just like, that really hurt you. And it's hard. It may be hard to come or said something to you. And it may be hard to come back from that, you know, especially when you're together for 10 and 20s and you know what I mean? Even less than that. But I'm just saying over time, when you're with somebody, these things are going to happen. So certain exercises, perhaps maybe cleaning the house, cooking. I don't know what would help, or going on a vacation or something to help ease the tension between, these two individuals.
Well, everybody's not necessarily going to be financially able to, you know, to take a trip or do this, that, and the other.
Right.
But there are things that you can actually do, like when you're at home. For example, like if a person is talking and then you know, females are very expressional with their face. And you've probably witnessed it like most men. Like if you say something and your woman don't like what you're saying, she'll make a particular face or something, right? And most men know this. So here's the situation. Before a situation starts to get volatile, then here's a good idea I suggest that both parties should be able to do. And this is something that my wife showed me here. If you see something get ready to escalate, she can do something just like this, and that'll give me an indication. Or just,
That's wisdom.
you see what I'm saying? Just, and then if a person is conscious, if they want to be right, then they know de-escalate. It's something as simple as talking, and if something is, if they see you starting to,
I seen my mom do that before.
something as simple as that.
Yeah. I seen my mom
You know,
do that.
and there are other things that we can do, but the thing is, like, if we say we're going to do that, then we got to do that, and we can't hold no resentment.
Right.
But the thing is, somebody might say they're going to do that, and then they don't do that because they let their emotions get them. And some guys get emotional.
Oh yeah.
Now, I have been guilty of getting into arguments with my wife and whatnot, right? But then and this is no justification, but as a man, if two men get into an argument and they just in each other's face, this, that, and the other, 9 times out of 10, that can definitely turn into a physical altercation.
Exactly.
Now, a man don't want to have a physical altercation with his significant other. At least I would hope men don't want to do that. That's definitely not a good thing. So we have to figure out ways to calm a situation. But like I said, a lot of people, males and females, may have daddy issues. And when the father has not been in the picture, that means there's a huge crack in the foundation. You know what I'm saying? When the father has not been, maybe he was there but wasn't present. You see what I'm saying? There's a huge crack in the foundation. In other words, you haven't had the best teacher. Because we learn certain things from watching our parents. You see? But when you only have one parent there, you're not getting a balance. So you're going to be lacking something because you didn't have somebody to teach you those things. You didn't get it growing up. So as a man, now you got to figure it out. And even as a man, some people, they just if you don't know something, you don't know it, but they'll act like they know it. And that's not the way men should operate. We need to know what our strengths are, and we need to also know what our weaknesses are. And those weaknesses, we have to fix them because we're supposed to be the leaders of a house. So if we know we got a crack in our foundation, we need to patch that crack before we go into that situation. If we don't, that crack is only going to get bigger, and it's going to affect the people that's within the confines of that house. It's going to affect the children. It's definitely going to affect the relationship. And now if the woman has the same issues on her part, now there's cracks all over the house, especially if ain't nobody working to fix their issues. Now, I'll be wondering a lot of times when people say, well, this relationship over, I'm just going to work on me. But are you really working on it?
There it is.
Or that's something that you just say, I'm just going to really work on me. Now, if we want to have a better outcome, that means we have to fix those cracks.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
A lot of times
Not
people
run away
people just be running their mouth and not fixing the cracks.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. And a lot of times, man, people just won't even be honest with themselves. And if I can't be honest with you, I ain't being honest with myself.
Damn.
Because a man who will lie to himself or a woman, ain't nobody else got nothing coming. Why am I lie to myself and be honest with you? Don't make any sense, do it?
Yeah, that's wild.
And a lot of people, they're just not honest, man. People these days have become so watered down. This not just the young folk. It's not just the young folk. We got a lot of people, man, of various ages that just refuse to accept accountability. And that's the one thing that we really need more than anything else. If we would just be accountable, if we would keep our word, if we literally just tried to be the best individual that we could be, we wouldn't even be sleeping around all the time just for pleasure, but ending our life at the same time and don't even realize it.
That's deep. Because a lot of it be a distraction anyway. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us find relationships or get into relationships to avoid the accountability, facing the accountability of working on ourselves and becoming a better person. You know,
If a man
people
don't,
hop
go ahead.
relationship, but never really fix what's going on inside.
And check this out. And it's only going to make sense to those who have sense enough to understand. If I'm in a relationship and I have not yet learned how to respect myself, why would you expect me to respect you? That's talking to the female. If I've not yet learned to respect myself, and vice versa. If you're dealing with a woman and she's not learned how to respect herself yet. Now understand what I'm saying. If she haven't learned how to respect herself yet, but yet we want her to respect us or me, think about what I'm saying. Because if a woman respects herself, she ain't going to be laying with all these guys. And just, it seemed like when you lay with one and it don't turn out the right way, and you lay with another one that don't turn out the right way, you lay with another one that don't turn out the right way, then it seemed like, wait a minute. Before that body count get up here, you got to, wait a minute, I got to step back for a second here, and I got to see what's going on, because this ain't working.
Yeah.
I'm getting the same results, probably because I'm doing the same thing the same way, but I'm expecting a different result. And so they wonder why they're not being proposed to.
That's right.
Why somebody ain't saying, will you marry me? Wait a minute. I argue with this one. I told this one, I ain't cooking nothing, but he already said, a lot of times men don't go into a relationship honestly either. Men don't go in saying, I am seeking a wife. And so men can be very deceptive. So that's the reason you have to have a conversation, ladies. You have to find out what one another's intentions are. Everybody's intentions are not good.
That's the
and
truth,
ladies,
man.
if you've been with, say, a significant number of guys, and none of them have asked you to marry them, and say maybe somebody said, well, I'm gonna be slick, I'll make them think I want to marry or whatnot, so they introduce marriage, that conversation of marriage, but they never follow through with anything, right? And I don't care if you've been with the same, ladies, I'm gonna get this deep on you. If you've been with the same guy, say 20 years, and he's been the only guy you've been with, according to the Almighty, I'm going to use it in the biblical sense, so please don't get offended. You still just his hoe. You his whore. Even though that's the only man you ever been with. Now, that's just me being brutally honest. Am I being honest?
Oh, yeah. No, I respect.
Any woman who lies with a man that is not her husband, that is the biblical definition of whoredom. So put it this way. If you've been with more than one, if you've been more than 5, if you've been more than 10, you see what I'm saying? You're devaluing yourself. Don't let a man do that to you. Learn how to, even at this point in your life, and I know sometimes we go to thinking once we start doing a thing, it's hard to stop. Probably right, because habits are hard to break. That's the reason they're called habits. So anytime we take something away because we want to replace it with something good, we need to find out what we can do. Once we remove something from us, let's implement something else so that we don't feel that void. Right? In other words, learn to replace it with doing something that's going to be positive. Maybe go to the gym, start working out, or doing whatever it is. Maybe take some cooking lessons if you're not the best cook. Make yourself stay busy with something that you're learning from.
Yeah.
You see, something that's going to be a benefit to you. That's going to help you become a better person. You might just take time and do like I do sometimes. I just have some different motivational tapes, but get those things that apply to you and listen to them over and over and over again. That way it sinks to the inside of you and you know it. So there's a lot of things that we can do. Ladies, again, a man wants something that he can say is exclusive to him. You hear what I'm saying? He don't want to get something, but he know it's been around. It's been around. So therefore it's not exclusive to him. See, I know these days women are mocked for being virgins. But ladies, not to offend anybody, a virgin's value is much higher than the average woman today. Would you agree with that? That's not to insult anybody. A woman who still has her virginity, she's what you might call high value.
Oh, that's a high value woman for sure.
She's high value. And I can only hope that when she gets with a guy, finally, when she gets with a guy, I can only hope it's a guy who's going to treat her right.
Oh, yeah.
And not just be the person who took her virginity and then just leave her hanging like a lot of times it's been done.
Yeah.
Because I know
that's against the law of the Almighty.
Oh, yeah.
That's against the law.
Yeah.
If
Talk about
it. If you take a woman virginity and you don't have no plans to marry that woman, as a matter of fact, let's pull that law up. Let me not even
pull it up and then read it.
Yes, sir. We're going to pull that law up.
And ladies, while he's looking at that, let me say this right here. Don't compare. Once you get a man that's maybe he's letting you know how he feel and he wants to get closer to you, and maybe you're a prospect to be a wife, do not compare. Matter of fact, when you're in the dating process and maybe you get upset, one of the worst things you can do is don't compare your man to other men that you've been with. Don't bring that stuff up in, are you just like so-and-so? Are you just like this? Don't do that. That's not going to help your situation. Don't compare the man that's interested in you to somebody else in a belittling way. Mm-hmm. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and read. You got it?
Yeah. So this is one of the laws, Exodus 22:16. It says, and if a man entice a virgin that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. Mm-hmm. But if her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. So, that's completely against the law, y'all. Especially when you're dealing with a virgin. And as a matter of fact, if you enticed the maid and she didn't cry, you were to endow her to be your wife. But if you took a woman, in other words, forcibly, and she was a virgin, you would have got killed.
Oh, yeah. I'll shoot your head. It's over at that point.
Yes, sir.
It's over at that point.
Yes, sir. But no, that's definitely how a virgin, women that still have their virginity, yeah, that's a high value woman.
Let me ask you a couple of questions here, King, because,
yes,
and this is for the sake of women understanding, and tradition actually came by way of the law. I know a lot of women don't want to hear this, but I put this in a couple of ways. See if we got any women on there right now, because I want to ask
women, tune in, tap in.
Because I want to find out what the mindset is at.
Somebody said, love you, Abba. Keep doing your thing, big dude.
That's my son, Yaz. That's gotta be I love you, son. My son called me big dude. So I know that's Yaz. Yeah, I know that's Yaz.
Yeah.
Man, you got to call me when you get the chance. Last time I tried to get in touch with you, I couldn't. But I love you, son. Yeah, man, that's my cat right
Shout
there.
out to Yaz, child, man. What it do?
That's my cat. But check this out. I'm going to ask you this question, a couple of questions, right?
Okay.
I don't want to forget my train of thought here. But even when you're talking about the 10 Commandments, and it's talking about not trying to get things that belong to another man.
Yes, sir.
If I say that's my wife, meaning that woman belongs to me.
All right.
Because when the scriptures is talking about don't try to get his house, his wife, or anything that pertains to thy neighbor, because it belongs to him.
Exactly.
Now, a lot of women understand what I'm getting ready to say, and some just don't understand. But my wife belonged to me.
That's right.
She's mine. You see, I didn't have to, but she's mine. Period. A lot of people, they have a problem with understanding that's, I don't want to just call it my property, but if I say, woman, you belong to me. You belong to me. It ain't the other way around. How do you feel about that statement?
You know how I feel.
Don't speak on it. I'm here to educate the people, man.
Nah, that's super funny to me because, I done seen certain situations, I done seen certain situations where I seen women treat a man like that man belonged to her.
Yeah, exactly.
and they didn't even realize. I said that in the back of my mind. I'm like, yeah, that's not even kosher.
So,
I mean, go ahead.
so that being said,
Yeah.
some women will frown on another woman because she asks permission to go say, baby, is it okay if I go do this, that, and the other? I think that's commendable of that woman to do that, because if she's under his covering anyway, he needs to know where she's at. So if something should go down or whatnot, he has an idea where she's at. So I think it's a good thing, and I commend those women who, and I use the word permission only to see if it's going to get under somebody's skin.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To ask, baby, is it okay? You think, how do you feel about me? How do they put it? How do you feel about me going to go do this? Or is it okay if I go do this, that, and the other? That woman is completely in order. What do you say about that?
That woman deserves a hand. She needs to be praised, like Proverbs.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
That woman right there get praised.
There you go. And that's
she's not just showing her respect towards you. She's showing the respect
to the Almighty.
Towards the Almighty.
Yeah. So now let me ask you a serious question right here. And this is just a ballpark question. Okay. And that's based on the question that the response that you gave. You said, unless a woman is raped, right? And forced to do something. Yes, so I'm going to ask you this, and I want you to think. You might not even have to think about this question. The Almighty, when he's silent, we're silent. But when he speaks, we understand. And if we don't understand, we should search the matter out as to what he's saying.
That's right.
He covers the issues of rape, this, that, and the other, what happens. He covers the issue when a man is caught with a woman lying with her. He'll marry her and he can't put her away and all these different things. Yes. Let me ask you this question. Now, a man, I don't want it to be a leading question because then I'm giving the answer away. So let me try to let me try to fix this up. A man, is it possible under normal conditions? First, let me make this statement right here. And this is only for educational purposes, because we don't add to the Almighty's word because we're in this Western area right here. Because like I said, a person with a Western mindset or a modern mindset is not going to keep the Almighty's laws. They're not even going to understand those laws. Mm-hmm. Is it possible for a Hebrew man to rape his wife? And I'm not talking about like just going out there and is it possible? Now, first of all, I know you're the type of person that if somebody don't want you, you pretty much don't want them. We're not animals. We're not animals or anything like that. Is it possible, according to the Almighty's law, only by the Almighty's law, is it possible, because he covers rape in the whole issue, is it possible for a man to rape his wife? No. Now, see, and again, that's a different situation with a boyfriend, girlfriend type of situation. That's the reason I said exclusively a wife, because we know that it's definitely possible if they just boyfriend, girlfriend type of stuff, that can definitely happen. You see what I'm saying? If somebody forced themselves or whatnot. And I don't think a man should force himself on anybody, period. But I have to ask this question. Is it possible, according to the Almighty's law? And I want everybody to check the law and because I already know what your answer getting ready to be. Is it possible for a man, according to the Almighty's law, to rape his wife?
To brutally rape her? Yes.
Wait a minute. I'm talking about to rape. I ain't talking about
just rape. No, not to forcibly say, "Oh, give me some sex."
Yeah. I ain't talking about. I'm gonna beat you and I'm gonna. Because that's just. We'd have to be the first person to like knock his head off.
Right, for sure.
Because we ain't got no business beating our woman and all this old type of stuff anyway. But my question is, where the Almighty, because where he don't speak, we don't speak, right? And he say his word is perfect. And that portion of that answer is in the law, right? And we find Torah from Genesis to Deuteronomy. So again, answer that question for the audience.
No, I haven't found that law for if there's a law against a man raping his wife.
Now, anybody that just act a fool and just want to do some other things. I'm not going to speak where the Almighty don't speak, but let's just say that ain't cool at all. If something like you just going to beat somebody and put it in, you know, and all this old type of stuff, because it should be this way. Me personally, I don't want nobody who don't want me.
Same.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you on that.
I'm not at the point in my life to where I don't feel like I can't just get somebody. Like I said, as a man gets older, and I want you to answer this question here too.
Okay.
As a man gets older, I made a statement earlier saying that he actually gets he still has options because he still has his value. He can be 70, 80 years old. Compared to a woman who's 70 or 80 years old. What I'm saying, a man, he can still, especially if he have resources, this, that, and the other, he can go out and in the day, he can still get him a woman, right? But a woman at that age or whatnot, as they get older, I'm saying that woman, and this is just the way it is. I didn't make the rules of nature or the way things are. 9 times out of 10, that woman loses value as she gets older. Right. And that's not to diminish her or anything in saying that. But what I'm saying is when you get these women talking about they have options, when a woman gets older, she's going to get set in her ways just like when the man get older, he's going to get set in his ways. But then that man still, if he has his act together, he still has his resources, this, that, and the other, he becomes an available, how can I put this? He's still in a position to where he has something to offer a woman. Yeah. A woman can still come under his covering. Yeah. A lot of men go get more renowned even as they get older, depending on the guy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
But people tend to get set in their ways as they get older. Yeah. You have some men that could be in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, still being very sexual. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to necessarily find women who want to be that way.
Mm-hmm. At that age.
At that age.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
That's true.
So I say this to say that men and women are completely different. Mm-hmm. Completely different. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when these modern women tend to think that they're equal to a man, matter of fact, maybe you can show me where that's at in the scriptures where a woman is equal to a man. Cause I ain't never been able to find it.
Nowhere.
I ain't never been able to find that.
Nowhere.
Even though we hear it, and I be wondering where people get that from.
Eve messed that up for y'all.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Eve messed it up for
absolutely. And in the book of Genesis, and let's go there again.
Yeah, that law went
Let's go there again. Go to the book of Genesis, the 3rd chapter, the 16th verse, where the Almighty was literally speaking to the woman. So a man don't have to repeat that to the woman because his consequence came in the very next verse, the 17th verse. You pull that up?
Yeah.
There you go. Read that, please.
Starting at 16.
Genesis 3 and 16.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
He shall what?
He shall rule over you.
No, you didn't say that.
No, I didn't say that.
The Almighty said the husband, not the boyfriend, but the husband was to rule over his wife.
It's a fact.
That's a fact. So let me ask you a question then. So like say if a man, because a lot of women ain't gonna want to hear this right here. The Almighty actually said when they get married that the husband, he's the ruler, he's the head of that household under the guise of the Almighty.
Yeah.
Right? So let me ask you, say when they have children, is a man supposed to govern his entire household? I don't even care if he got a butler or whatever, you know, should he rule over his whole household?
Children included, rule over them as well.
Okay. Yeah. So who what about the wife?
What about her?
Do we rule over his wife as well?
Oh yeah, of course.
You sure?
Of course.
I agree with you 1,000,000,000%.
100%.
But see, a lot of women ain't buying that. A lot of women gonna go against the Almighty.
And that's what you said.
Because they might say, well, ain't we supposed to be one?
That's the excuse they try to
break it down for me, please. Break it down.
Nah, and see, that go back to what you said about a woman believing that man is hers. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, you my possession. That's my husband. Or like when a woman like be arguing with another, that's my man. That's No, actually, you're that man's wife. You're his woman, not the other way around. You know what I'm saying? But of course, feminism, Western world traditions, society will have her in her mind thinking that, but the Almighty's law rule over all of that. That trump all of that.
So
You know what I'm
do
saying?
me a favor here. Go to Proverbs 31,
Sure.
and let's almost give like a blueprint. It don't have to be this detailed, but this is like a good, what's the word I want to use? A good guide
Okay.
for a woman to be successful in a relationship. If she, remember I said a woman's looks, her good looks will get a man, but there's something that she needs to have in order to keep that man.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because some women will open up their mouth and feel like since they're equal to a man, they can talk like some men might talk. And I'm not saying that it's good when a man is just talking all reckless or anything. But again, when a person comes from a toxic type setting and they haven't learned to do better, they're going to do what they're accustomed to doing. And that ain't going to necessarily be a good thing. It can be a detriment to their relationship, whether they married, a boyfriend, girlfriend, or business partners or whatever. So read that. This is just a blueprint, a guide for what a man should. We can't just necessarily go by this and say a woman has to be just like this. But these are some very good qualities of what you might call a virtuous woman.
Absolutely. Proverbs 31:1. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mama taught him. What, my son, and what the son of my womb, and what the son of my vows? Give not your strength unto women, nor your ways to that which destroys kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, to drink strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law, and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. Open thy mouth for the dumb and the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. Who can find a virtuous woman?
Hold on. That's a question. So think about that. Who can find? In other words, it's hard to find even these days. But see, there's a difference between a virtuous woman and something else we're going to discover in just a second. But go ahead and keep reading.
Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She rises also while it is yet night and gives meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. She considers a field and buys it with the fruit of her hands. She plants a vineyard. She girds her loins with strength and strengthens her arms.
Stop for a second. And now I want you to continue in a second. To me, it looked like she's being an asset.
Yeah.
She's not being a liability. It seems that she's adding, she's pouring into that relationship. Remember how I said a man, he's going to pour into his spouse, into his wife. He's going to pour into that relationship. But I said also that woman, she needs to not just only receive, she needs to pour into it as well.
That's right.
And that's just nurturing that relationship. A lot of times people don't know how to nurture their relationship.
Yeah.
They tend to think you just nurture a baby. No, when you're like, and I've said this before, if you're the sole provider for the most part, and you going out and you busting your butt doing whatever you need to do to provide for your family, and you come back home and you just all beat up from the things that you had to deal with, even just being a black man stepping outside the house. When you come in and your wife recognized it, like, man, he needs to be built back up. She might pull you into her arms. She might run you a bath. She might give you some soothing words or whatever. She might even say, here, sit down. Let me take them boots off your feet or whatever. You see what I'm saying? She's going to do things to nurture even her husband, to replenish him, to build him back up. Now, that sounds like a wise woman. Keep reading for me, please.
Sir. She girds her loins with strength and strengthen her arms. She perceived that her merchandise is good. Her candle goes not out by night. She lays her hands to the spindle and her hands hold the distaff. She stretches out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She makes herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land.
Stop for a second. Say you got a woman and she's not a virtuous woman and far from it, right? And so everybody know that, okay, I'll use myself for an example. Or anybody. And he's a good guy. He's sitting among the elders. They doing this, that, and the other talking. But then they look over yonder and like somebody over there acting a fool. And they say, ain't that Wells' wife over there? Cause my wife represents me.
That's right.
You see, right. So we've got to be in line because we can do some things that would make things look, you know how some people say when they guilty as hell, they say, it ain't what it look like. No, when everybody can see it, it is what it looked like.
That's right.
But go ahead, keep reading.
That's right. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes fine linen and sells it and delivers girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall go ahead.
Stop. Strength and honor are her clothing. Now that's the type of strength. We ain't talking about this kind of strength right here.
Right.
We're talking about this woman has a strong mind. She knows how to conduct herself. Remember, throughout the scriptures, we have to be very strong and courageous. Meaning sometimes the walk that we supposed to be walking to live our life to please the Almighty, you got to be strong because a weak person will walk away from it. Because it might not always be fun. People might look at you differently, this, that, and the other. But the Almighty is making sure you're taken care of, that you're receiving those blessings. There's another part I want you to read, and then we're going to get to that, and it's going to pull it all together.
Okay. She makes fine linen, or strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come.
Check this out.
She opens her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness.
Check this out. When you just read, she shall rejoice in time to come. That means even if she's married to a butt bag, but she's doing her part, she ain't gonna play tit for tat because he acting a fool, she act a fool. The Almighty in time is going to make sure she's rewarded for being that wife that she is.
I like how you said
that's the reason. That's the reason she's in alignment.
She's in alignment
with the Most High. Just be patient, baby. Because I see you got a butt bag. I'm going to make sure that you rejoice. Don't worry. You're going to get what you got coming.
That's right.
Because like I said, we all going to get our just reward. Whether that be reward be good for righteousness or we're going to get that reward for not being that righteous individual.
That's right. She looketh well to the ways of her household. I'm going to read that again, boy.
Okay, go ahead.
That's powerful. She looks well to the ways of her household.
She ain't trying to tear it down. She's constantly trying to build it up. She's looking out for everybody in that house. And she ain't complaining about it because, again, in a marriage, a man has a duty, which is that husband, and that woman, the wife, she has a duty as well.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact. And eateth not the bread of idleness.
She always busy.
That's right.
She always busy. She ain't gonna come home and she just always gonna be in the boob tube. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Things are gonna be taking place inside that house, and you come in there. Like I say, you give a woman a house, she turned it into a home, right? Mm-hmm. You buy the food, you get a meal. Mm-hmm. You give her your juice, you get a baby or babies. Mm-hmm. So she's supposed to multiply everything.
That's a fact. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excels them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that fears Yah, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates.
Now, a woman who fears Yah, she should be praised. Now, compare that to that 25th verse where it reads, strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall, that don't say she might, and she shall rejoice in time to come. That means the Almighty got something special in store for her.
That's a fact.
All she got to do is just receive it.
Yeah.
Just keep being the way she is.
Yeah.
Now, A woman who's getting that high body count and all those other things that they doing out there ain't gonna fall under this category.
Yeah. And the women that's married that's not playing their position right.
Ain't gonna get it. That's just like, here's the question. The Almighty said in the latter days it's gonna be 7 women to 1 man. And they don't understand, some people, that it's not gonna be a whole lot of men available at that time. So some women be talking about, not my man. So that means the blessing that the Almighty is setting up for a man, you wouldn't want that man to receive that blessing. And that blessing is to take on another woman to take away her reproach.
Yeah.
So we got to look at everything in the order that it was meant.
Yeah.
You see, so some women who want to get possessive, but they ain't playing their role.
Oh,
They want to be possessive, but they're not playing their role. So again, I ask, what woman want to stop a man from getting the blessing that the Almighty is putting on him? To be able to put a woman in a position to take away her reproach. Because ladies, it should be that women should desire to be married.
right.
And every woman is not marriage material, nor is man. Some men are not marriage material. But to take away a woman's reproach, to be able to take your name, that's a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
This world is so corrupted, ain't gonna be a lot of men. There ain't gonna be a lot. And some people look at like seven women to 1 man. Man, they just being greedy. Y'all don't understand the Almighty's plan.
Nah, y'all don't.
Y'all don't understand the Almighty's plan. And some who disagree with that probably won't be here no way. So they ain't got to worry about it.
Period. That's why I don't even give it no energy. Because if Yahweh says, it's going to happen.
There you go. There you go. Some people might, well, you ain't getting none.
Yeah, they do say
Oh, my goodness, my goodness.
Yeah.
This has been a beautiful thing, man. I actually love talking on this
Beautiful.
subject. Is my son still up there?
He
Man,
probably
that's my-
still watching.
that's my cat, man.
We got
That's my
6
cat.
viewers right now. Mhm.
That's my cat.
Shout out to Yaz Chow. Shout out to everybody that's tapping in with us right now. We appreciate y'all supporting the podcast, and whether y'all support it or not, the truth been spoken, and that's all that matters. So we mean the truth at the end of the day.
We're going to tell the truth.
And a
if
lot of people
somebody
don't like the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Especially, I have to say, some guys might not like the truth, but especially women. Because see, when a person has been deceived for so long and they've been set in their ways according to the way they felt or what they were taught, but then we find out we've been taught absolutely wrong and backwards, and the way that we've come up has been an abomination, which is something detestable to the Almighty. Sometimes people get offended because they have to change. People get set in their ways, and change is not desirable to the wicked. You know, and I have to call it like it is, because it took me a long time to start changing, even when I knew better. But as I start getting older and start getting wiser and see that I keep bumping my head by doing the same thing, but expecting a different result, I had to be an idiot in order to think I'm going to get a different result if I don't change some things.
That's right.
So it's a blessing just for the Almighty to allow us to consider that we need to make some appropriate changes. Sure. And then we find something that's appropriate. There's nothing to stop us from doing it. And application, again, is everything. If I had the wisdom, but I didn't apply that wisdom, then I'd just still be messed up. Check this out, man, to try to help. I was on the path of wanting to be right, even though I made errors throughout my life. But every single one of my children, I gave them a biblical name, and I did that for a reason. They have a biblical name because I wanted them to have something that they would at least maybe once they learned why they had it, to try and live up to it. Even my son, Yah's child, he belonged to Yah's. That's why his name is Yah's child. He was a dedication. That's why he has that name. That's Yah's child. You see, so I gave them all. I didn't give a daughter a name and call her Portia or something, and she ended up just looking like a bus and ain't got no good sense and all this other type of stuff. Right. No, I wanted to give them something that would be honorable. Mm-hmm. And I did the same thing with myself.
Yeah.
You see, something that would be honorable. Yimawel, meaning the day of Yahweh, which is a great and terrible day.
That's right.
So, man, you know, we gonna talk about stuff like this often. And guys, I'm gonna tell you, we've been doing this longer than an hour now, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I want to do, you about ready to wrap it up?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What I want you guys to do, I really want you guys to send it to a friend. Tell them to send it to a friend. Get this going, because see, men and women, male and female, need to get this information if you want to start having some better relationships, some positive relationships. But keep in mind, everybody is not going to be willing to make the adjustments that's needed so that they can in turn have a positive relationship. Some people tend to get set in their ways. But again, you can't do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. And the Almighty didn't make us just to be going from woman to woman or man to man, just spreading disease and all kinds of things. He has an order. And when we go out of the order, then we become an abomination. We become something detestable. And I can speak on it because I've done that. I've been there, you see. And the best teacher is the example. So when we learn better, we do better, and we are our brother's keeper.
Praise
So
him.
it's vitally important for us to pass on the information. If the information is out there, it's up to you with what you do with it.
Praise him, y'all. This has been a beautiful podcast. You done hit on a lot of points. I took some notes up here, and I'll just say these for next time. But we appreciate you coming on. And ladies, if y'all got some things y'all want us to address, men as well, don't hesitate to leave a comment on the video. If y'all need a certain subject talked about,
Please do that.
or if you want to even come on a podcast, hit your boy up. If y'all want to have a conversation with the OG, come and hit us up, and we'll get you on here. All right. Shalom, shalom, shalom. We appreciate y'all once again. Y'all bless y'all and keep y'all, protect y'all families. Y'all have a strong week, and we'll see y'all later on Truth or Tradition Part 2.
Subscribe to this podcast. Share these daggone links. There has been a part 1 and a part 2. You listen to part 3 today. So search out that part 1 and part 2. When you look at it, if you have any further questions, please, you can always come on here live and ask that question. And I will do my best. And most likely I'm going to be able to answer those questions anyway. Like I said, I've been around for quite some time. I've had enough relationships. And I've even though I'm a man, those relationships, that I've had for over the course of the last, at least the last 50 years, have taught me a wealth of information that I love to share. All right.
Beautiful.
So that being said, please just keep this podcast in mind. Tell people about it. We want this thing to get big because we're trying to reach a people who needs to know these things, because the bottom line is we should be seeking to be married, whether it be a woman wanting or desiring to have a husband, or a man desiring to have a wife. And I'm going to say this before we check out. If you don't want any of those things, if you're a woman who don't want a husband, then prepare yourself to not ever get sick, to make sure that you're in good shape so that you can work up to your last days, so that you can take care of yourself by yourself, because that's going to be a very difficult thing. In today's time, it's hard enough for one person. You generally need 2 people in order to support a household these days. But if you're not looking for a spouse, that means you can't afford to get sick. You can't afford to take off work. So when you're 60, 70 years old and you still don't have a good amount for your retirement, if the retirement funds still be there, that means you're going to struggle by yourself. Now, the Almighty made a woman for man because it wasn't good for man to be alone, and he needed a helpmate. You see what I'm saying? He needed somebody. And when you have 2 people, then you got heat when you lay down at night. But if it's just you and it's cold in that house, you better get a double blanket. You see, get a heating pad, something. So it's just, we want people to make the best decisions for self. And everybody I know don't want to be married, and I'm not trying to force anything on anybody who don't want it. But it wasn't me who said it wasn't good for man to be alone. That means if it's not good for man to be alone, it's not good for woman to be alone. That's when all that freaky stuff started going on. You know, men buying blow up dolls and women buying little rubber instruments and things. We don't want all that. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, let's get real, folks.
Subscribe and share this link, all right?
All right, salute. Shalom, y'all. Peace.